Sustainable Barbados Recycling Centre is the culmination of 20 years of effort of the Barbados government, NGOs, the private sector to implement a solid waste integration plan. What we mean by that is, for the first time in the history of Barbados, we have thought about all the elements that make up solid waste, how you handle it, how you process it, how you dispose of it, and brought it all into one operating center. So we take basically all of the island's waste and we try to figure out what to do with it. What can we do to reduce what goes into the landfill? Our job is to minimize what goes into that landfill. And through minimizing that, we then find different homes, different uses, we repurpose, we recycle, we reuse these other materials. So this facility has been designed, established, and has been operating for 5 years now under that premise. What can we do to minimize waste going into the landfill, to reusing as much material as possible, and to helping to educate the public that everything they do has an impact on what we do. Every bottle of soda, every can, every bag that they take ends up with us. And we then have to figure out how to do that. It's a cost that the country bears. Barbados is very progressive in this area in terms of what other Caribbean countries are doing. We're on a parallel with some of the more advanced United States, individual states, or some of the European countries in terms of what we are trying to do here. We're very proud of what we've accomplished here. We see a bright future. We are constantly looking at new products. I think we're up to probably about 20 different products that we now can offer to the public, most of them in the green waste, soil, amended soil area, but we're looking at other opportunities. So we think this is just a great example of a public-private partnership where the government has provided a lot of support, where the private sector is doing what they do best and doing it on a very cost-effective basis. And we see great opportunities for improving the sustainability and the so-called greening of the Barbados economy.
Sbrc is a 24-hour-a-day facility. We receive over 1,000 metric tons of waste per day. That equates to, on average, about 500 to 550 truckloads of material coming onto the compound. When the material comes to the compound, it first goes over the inbound scale. At this point, we take the weight of the truck, the gross weight of the truck, and that is entered into the computer. At this point, the driver of the truck, with our scale house attendant, determines what we would classify the load as. We have 4 broad headings that we classify the waste coming into the compound. There's rocks and soil, construction and demolition, municipal solid waste, and green waste. Once the load is classified, it is then sent to the specific part of the compound to be processed. The municipal solid waste goes to the transfer station building. In this building, which has a rough floor area of 33,000 square feet, which is 3/4 of an acre, the waste is dumped on the floor. It is then sorted by mechanical process using a wheel loader, front end wheel loader. And also we have people who help sort some of the waste at this point as well. The waste that is deemed recyclable is taken to another section of the transfer station building. At this point, it is cleaned, it is sorted, and materials such as cardboard, newspaper, magazines, other paper products will be baled. They would be shipped to recycling facilities around the world. The remainder of the waste that has no recyclable or reusable value is put into our walk-in floor trailers, which are some uniquely designed 40-foot trailers that would then take the waste to the sanitary landfill next door, which is run by the Sanitation Service Authority, and that would be landfilled. The green waste is split into two categories once it enters the compound. We have what we call the clean green waste and what we call the dirty green waste. Now the clean green waste is used to produce all the mulches that we would then sell under our brand Butterfly Choice. The dirty green waste goes to a different part of the compound where it is processed for alternate daily cover, which we send to the landfill to cover the waste that goes there daily, or the remainder would then go to land reclamation sites. The clean green waste is processed mainly through a high-speed grinder. Now this is an 800 horsepower electrical motor grinder. It pulverizes the wood and the leaves to create mulches. These mulches then will be screened and sold to various customers. The construction and demolition waste goes to a specific part of the compound where it is sorted mechanically, which is using an excavator and a front-end loader, as well as manually. The final category of material that we receive and we process is rocks and soil. Now, the waste that comes to our facility is commingled. We do not get pure loads of any material other than, one or two small loads of pure green waste. So when you have the rocks and soil category, the first process would be through a large rotating screen which separates the material by size. Then it is further processed through a smaller trommel where then we try as much as possible to separate the rocks from the soil. The soil is then further processed to produce a topsoil product which we sell to the public. The rocks are utilized in the landfill and the land reclamation sites for road building, as well as some customers buy the rocks to fix roads in and around their farms and things like that.
Here at Scrapman Recycling, we recycle metals coming from Sbrc and other sources, which is very important for protecting the environment. These days, metal has value, so it makes sense to bring it to us instead of throwing it into the fields and the gullies and destroying our environment. Our best wishes goes out to Sbrc, who's celebrating their 5th anniversary, and we wish them continued success.
Now, e-waste is basically known as any electronic appliance or any electronic operative equipment that will be operated either by electricity or by battery. These components or these equipment contains very toxic elements, for instance, lead, mercury, and these type of things. So this is what we are trying to eliminate from the landfill. Hence, we collaborate with Sbrc from avoiding these type of waste from going to the landfill. So working with Sbrc, I think it's a plus for us, also a plus for the country as a whole, because how we see ourselves is that we're trying to preserve the landfill from all these different toxics from going into the landfill, because they basically come back at us. So Sbrc and our collaboration is a very, I should say, a very good partnership. And we're looking forward quite happily to working alongside of them in the future.
As an agronomist and an environmental economist, I always try to promote sustainable solutions to waste issues that we may have. And the Sustainable Barbados Recycling Centre is really that embodiment of sustainability and recycling. I first came in contact with them in my official capacity as the agronomist responsible for national organic research and development, and I would have undertook some research looking at the benefits of this mulch to the environment and also some of the environmental economic benefits. What came out very clearly is that this mulch is excellent as it relates to soil moisture retention. It has the capacity to reduce the soil temperature at the same time, which is very relevant when we're experiencing climate change where temperatures are getting warmer. But in addition to that, it provides a good carbon source for microorganisms. So you find wherever you're using this mulch, there's increased microbial activity, and that's extremely important. But when we think of mulch, the most common thing that we think of is reducing or suppressing weeds. And this mulch, once you apply it at about 2 to 3 inches, especially 3 inches thick, then you're going to get very good weed control. Even against some of the most noxious weeds or some of the most difficult weeds, you're still going to get that weed control. But what is mesmerizing about the product is that it doesn't only provide these benefits in terms of soil moisture retention, increased microbial activity, reduction of soil temperature, but it's aesthetically pleasing at the same time. So you have a product that is working for you in terms of these environmental benefits, but then you also have the aesthetics that would match. But when we think at a more national level, we have to look at this as a recycling effort, a move towards the green economy of Barbados, and it has potential foreign exchange cost savings, because you're looking at, previously you'd be importing these mulches, but now you have it from a local source, and therefore you're saving foreign exchange. Beyond that, from a green point of view, you're saving in terms of your fuel costs, because your carbon footprint will be significantly reduced, because relatively to synthetic mulches, you're already saving in terms of transportation and the emission of fossil fuels to create these products. When you look at it holistically, you're having a product that is environmentally friendly. It's also feasible in terms of financially and economically, but there's a social component at the same time, because we're getting Barbadians into thinking about recycling and using waste, transforming it from waste into wealth.
It is very good for our usage. It is good for horse feet. It is good for mulching. It keeps our grass very lush. If you can just look around, you can see how green the grass is, and that is because it maintains the moisture. When we get a shower in, I mean, it's obviously we deal with irrigation, but with this stuff now, you can look around and you will see how lush the grass is.
So I've been using Sbrc products for quite a while. This garden I have here is be 3 years in July, and when I started out there was nothing here, and I got the soil from Sbrc. They make some wonderful products. I use their soil, they use their mulch, and their little garden mixes and stuff. I use them all, and it produces some really nice plants, and as you see, a really nice garden. What it does, like for the mulch especially, like it helps with the weeding. And I haven't weeded here now for over a year and a half, and it stops the seeds from germinating. The seeds blowing the airfall on it, it doesn't get a chance to germinate. So you just put a layer about 6 inches or 4 to 6 inches on top of the soil, and you don't have weed problems for a long time.
Today we're up at Apes Hill, up in the parish of St. James, and we're looking at a beautiful foodscape garden in one of our off-grid eco-luxury villas. And what we're talking about today is the mulching system that we use here, which is a no-till method of farming, which means that we use layers of continual mulching on top of each other to help build the soil. What we have here is a beautiful product from Sbrc, and what this consists of is 40% browns, which are your basic trees that are collected up at Sbrc, and 60% greens, which would be the grasses and green leaf clippings. And what happens with this is the greens will create a nitrogen source in the mulch, which help it to break down quicker, as well as release nitrogen into the soil. What we're looking at with this is building soil. So when we build our garden beds, what we're looking at doing is creating an environment where the microorganisms can thrive, and the mulch actually acts as food for these microorganisms. So the key, in my opinion, to successful gardening, whether it's on a small scale at home or on a large commercial scale, is good soil, and Sbrc creates the basis for that good soil, which is the mulch.
Organic matter is really, really important to soils and to crops, because without the use of organic matter, all the inorganic fertilizer that's added to crops just can't use the inorganic fertilizer. They need the beneficial microorganisms in the soil to change that fertilizer into a form in which it can be used by crops. Sbrc has been doing a really good job over the last few years in recovering a lot of this useful organic matter, which would normally go to waste, and they've been processing it into a form where it can be used by farmers, landscapers, and home gardeners to improve their yields. The sugarcane farmers and the large farmers in general have not been using as much organic matter as they should. And as everyone knows, our sugarcane yields have been really deteriorating to a point where something has to be done to save the industry. We must improve the efficiency of the industry, and the yields go a long way towards contributing to this. And I really would like to encourage the larger farmers, especially, not only the sugarcane farmers, but the vegetable farmers as well, to take up this material and apply it to their crops. And I'm sure that they will get much better yields. It also helps with water retention. And as you know, we are going through a very dry period now, and probably will go through a lot more dry periods in the future. So we need to have this organic matter in the soil to hold the moisture.
The surroundings are clean, the staff is friendly, and it's like going to a shop, you know. Only difference is that it's a recycling center and you're dealing with material. Also, there is a place where you can go and use the bathroom. If you want something to drink, you can go and buy a drink or get cold water or wash your hands. Before, there was no facility like that. As a person who works there regular, collecting material, you know that what you're bringing is being recycled, so it's not being wasted. And you can also go and sell it back to customers at a very low cost. And you feels good to know that you're bringing something, and at the end of it, you can also carry it away.
But I was really impressed with the solid waste recycling. And I felt what that has done is that has encouraged us as well to try and get involved in recycling and reusing our own waste from the hotel here itself. So what we're starting to do now is to take our old fruits and food. We're asking our guests to put in a separate can, and that we could also start to make compost from that as well. So I mean, if the whole island, can take this as an example, we could actually help to conserve our waste. One of the things that I was made aware of was that this company is 5 years old, and that's to me a big secret. That was one of the best kept secrets in Barbados, actually. I think this is such a monumental project, and I give my regards to the owners of the company or the investors, and I think that Barbados should be very proud of this effort.
2 million pounds a day, that's what Barbados throws away. We have found a better way at SBRC. 1,000 tons or more delivered daily to our door. That's what we are here for at SBRC.
The Sustainable Barbados Recycling Centre has reduced the amount of waste to landfills by 70% by separating, recycling, and by creating organic garden soils and mulches that return valuable biomass to Barbados' soil.
Taking what is thrown away, helping build a brighter day, a future that's sustainable, we know it's attainable. 2 million pounds a day, that's what Barbados throws away. We have found a better way at SBRC. 2 million pounds a day, that's what Barbados throws away. We have found a better way at SBRC. SBRC.